We are back at it. So, as you know, if you know, then you know that I am on the move. And so I had to come live and give y'all a little bit about what is going on in the courtroom according to Inner City Press. Now, today will probably be the last day that we rely solely on Inner City Press. So, salute to them for all that they have done with keeping us updated with everything. But I am. Oh, I am where I am. Y'all know I was supposed to be on this journey Sunday. I'm here. Okay, we're making our moves. Okay, we've been planning this for a while, so yeah, it's about to go down. Now, this morning they opened up for day 7 of the Diddy case. Can you guys hear me loud and clearly? Is my background too loud? You can hear me? Hey, pretty ginger. Hey, Mama Zay. Hey, everybody. I see y'all. Double tap the screen. Let's get into this because we have some from Inner City Press before I board my flight. So now they opened up today and they said in day 7, they're going to hear from the personal assistant, which is David James, who is on the stand right now as we speak, giving his testimony. All right. They're all it says from personal assistants through exotic dancer to Cassie's mother and a chef, Inner City Press is going to cover the trial. So those are people that will be coming. So for those of you that were saying, oh, is the chef coming? Yes, the chef is definitely coming. Cassie's mom is still going to testify. And we have an exotic dancer that's going to be testifying soon too as well. I told y'all. We've just gotten started. We are only 7 days in, which means that technically, according to the calendar in the court, we are only 1 week into the trial, but we are week 2 as far as, you know, our normal schedule. Anyway, so before the jurors came in, of course, you know, there is always conversation that is going on outside of the jurors' earshot. And it seems like Mr. Aglafina says that he opposes David James's testifying about the incident with Suge Knight. And he's going to mention D-Rock, say he was a friend of Biggie Smalls. That's decades ago, not relevant, okay? So the judge says, you seem to be previewing your cross. Witness / personal assistant David James takes the stand. All right. So we'll have to get the transcript to find out what else was said prior to the jury coming in and David James taking the stand. So the judge says good morning to everybody, welcomes them back in. Okay. They were missing 4 jurors. So I guess they were late because of the trains. Because, I mean, come on, New York City subways, they can be a mug. But anyway, the rest of the jurors did arrive eventually. So Miss Slavic is back to questioning for the prosecution. And so she begins her questioning by asking David, what about physical violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie? Did you personally observe it? So David James says, no, I did not. So off the rip, David is saying he did not see any violence between Cassie and Diddy, right? But then Slavic asks him, do you remember a blog post? And David says, yes, I was in LA when he came back from a club. So Slavic asked him, what did Mr. Combs say? David James said that someone was lying on him, saying he hit Cassie at the club. He went through my browser history. No one had ever done that to me. So now Diddy comes back from the club. He's suspicious. His suspicions are on high because the blogs are talking about he had hit Cassie while they were at the club. So Diddy decides to go through his browser history. Can you say paranoia on a million? Okay. Now, David is saying that he never saw Diddy put hands on Cassie, which is interesting because other people that have been close to the circle has. So how is it that David never saw him do it? Let's continue to read to find out what it is that's going on here. So he said, so Slavic says, did Mr. Combs give you instructions about Cassie? David said to bring her food at the London hotel, some Roscoe's. So Slavic asked him about what was Roscoe's, and he told her some delicious chicken and waffles from LA. Shout out to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Okay. Then Slavic says, what did you do for Mr. Combs in New York? Wait, pause for a second. Let me stop right there because there was something I wanted to say. The London is where Cassie was at after Diddy had stomped her in her face in the back of the Escalade. That's something that Cassie had talked about. That's something that Roger Bonds had talked about. So even though David James is saying that he never saw him be physical with Cassie, he cannot deny that there wasn't something physical that was happening because you went to the London where she was being held at the time after the incident in the Escalade. So he may not be testifying to the fact that he saw it, but he saw the aftermath. So this is where it's getting a little interesting for me from what I'm reading because again, Roger Bonds testified to seeing violence happen. There have been friends and other artists. Dawn, who came up. Now, I know Dawn kind of dropped the ball yesterday when it came down to her testimony. She got ripped apart on defense, but people are testifying to seeing the violence. So I don't know about that. So now he said, Slavic says, what did you do for Mr. Combs in New York? David says, I'd bring him applesauce, jello, Fiji water, his toiletry bag with ointments just for men. We bought about 40 items so he wouldn't call us later. I'd get a key like at the Trump International. So he basically was bringing him his bag of supplies for whatever it is that he needed. He was setting things up for him and he was making sure that he had it in plethora and in excess so he would not be called a million and one times to have to come back and forth. We got to get the transcripts to find out more. Now, David says he would set up the medicine bag in the personal LV bag. Now, remember the medicine in the personal LV bag. Now, remember, Agent Bender testified to having that LV bag there with him on the night that he was arrested at the Hyatt. And inside of that bag, she found things in there. We know what she found, okay? So Slavic said what was in it. So David says a Viagra, ecstasy, prescriptions, so we know what was in the bag. So Slavic says, how did you go about replenishing these supplies? David said, I used my personal credit card. Bad boy paid me back. Now this is good to hear because that means that David is being used to go pay for the prescription drugs for Diddy, right? To go pay for the supplies. And then Bad Boy would pay him back. And you know what that means? That means there was no paper trail to any of this going back to Diddy. And the only way that you would ever see that there was a paper trail is if you lined up David's receipts with the receipts of Bad Boy, meaning look and see when the time in the day that David was buying these supplies and the total, and then look through the financial records of Bad Boy Entertainment and see the reimbursement. That's how you would have to pay it back because the receipts would be in David's name, not Diddy. So this is how some things were not getting out because here you have the personal assistant aiding Diddy. All right. Now, Slavic says, who paid you back? David said, usually Bonds. So here we go. Listen, that Roger Bonds at some point is going to have to make an entry into this. He has to, because his name keeps coming up. So he has to make some type of something into this at some point. So now Slavic says, did Mr. Combs ever stay alone in a hotel? David says, never. Usually Cassie, sometimes other women, right? So Slavic said, did he ask for things during a stay? James said he texted me for an iPad or food. So Slavic said, did anything strange ever happen? David says, yes. In Miami, he asked for an iPad. I'm sorry, an iPod. From his house on Star Island. I drove to his hotel and knocked, no answer. I had the key. I'd set up the room. Slavic says, what did you see? David says, Cassie on the bed. There was another person who sort of scurried away and the shower was on. I thought Mr. Combs was in there. Slavic said, how was she sleeping? David says on her back, Mr. Aglifino objected. The judge sustained it. So Slavic says, what about the other person? So David says he was about 5'8" with long hair and a large endowment. He scurried away. So Slavic says, did you ask anything? David says, I wasn't hired to ask about their personal affairs. So now we have David has walked in what seems like in the midst of a freak off, bringing an iPod to the hotel. And we sip. Yes, this morning we are sipping Starbucks Frappuccino in the mocha. We are on the go. So now, Slavic says, did you ever pick up rugs for Mr. Combs? David says, yes. Percocets at the pharmacy, sometimes in my names. So the opioids that Cassie had testified to, we are now seeing that David James is another name that he was using, because remember when he got picked up at the Hyatt, he had medications in the name of Frank Black, which is a name that Cassie has attested to as being an alias for Diddy. Gotta remember that, okay? So Slavic says, did you give him permission to use your name? David James says, I don't recall that. Slavic says, was there a rug dealer? David says, yes, one stop. So that corroborates what Dawn was telling us earlier about One Stop. I did not finish reading all of the transcript when it came down to Cassie. However, I'm going to go through the transcript and see if Cassie mentioned One Stop, because I'm quite sure she has. But we're hearing a consistency of this One Stop starting to come into play as well. So Slavic said he met a lot of people. David James says yes, even former presidents. So Slavic asked which one. David James says former President Obama. Now pause, because you say Obama, but we've seen him with Trump too. I'm just saying. But let's continue. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up. Oh, okay. Y'all just intently here listening, because I'm like, dang, the chat is not moving, but I see people are in here. So y'all are intently listening. I'm talking low because I'm in the airport and I don't want to disturb other people. All right. So AUSA Slavic says, all right, what was your understanding would have happened if you hadn't done these things? So Mr. Aglifino steps in and objects. It's sustained. So Slavic says, did you ever take ecstasy? David says, yes. I was drinking Ciroc. I took ecstasy. I was diddy bopping. Slavic said, what do you mean? David says, I was vibing. So Slavic says, did you speak with Mr. Combs about it? David says, I was reviewing footage of the party. We had a videographer who filmed the parties. He asked me, hey, Playboy, was that you dancing around at the party? I said, yes. He said, I'm going to keep the video in case you ever need it. Slavic said, meaning? David said that I'd be embarrassed. Slavic said, did anything ever go missing? David said, they said a bracelet was missing. Uncle Paulie came to my hotel room and searched my belongings and those of my girlfriend at the time. Slavic said, could you have said no? Aglifino said, objection. The judge said, move on. Oh God, I gotta line up, guys. All right, so Slavic says, did you ever take a lie detector test? David said yes. Slavic asked who was present. David James said, just me and this gentleman. It was very intimidating. They put monitors on my head, my chest, and my hands. Slavic said, could you refuse? David said, not to keep my job. And that's what we're going to have to leave off with right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because I have to board my plane. I'm not going to leave y'all, but I'm going to have to stop reading the transcript. So as y'all can see, stuff went up missing. This is not the first time that we have heard about people's belongings being searched by either by people who were sent by Diddy, because this is the same story that we heard with Farnsworth Bentley. We heard that a pair of Jennifer Lopez had ordered some boots, and the boots went missing, and they went to Bentley's house to go see if the boots were there. So this isn't the first time that we've heard about employees. Damn, how'd the line get so long? I was that deep into what I was doing. I don't know. They already called the groups. Um, excuse me one second. Hold on one second, you guys. Hi. See, I was over here giving y'all the content, and I ended up being on the end of the line. Look at that. Now I gotta go all the way to the back. I hope y'all um double tapping that screen. So what do y'all think about what we just read thus far with David James? No, I'm not. I guarantee you I'm not. They're not in our age bracket. I don't know why you can't access inner city press on the suspense in my voice was real. So y'all were enjoying the read like that? Listen, this is crazy. This is crazy. So thus far, just from what we have attained from Inner City Press this morning, again, shout out to them. We have heard that David James has witnessed the aftermath of Cassie. David James has walked in on freak offs going down. David James, unknowingly, his name was being used as an alias for Diddy to get his rugs, to get his perks. Okay? David James has corroborated that there was a rug dealer that was stable within and paramount into Diddy's life by the name of One Stop. Again, we hear the name D Rock. We hear torturous. The thing is, if any employer sent their security to come search my home and my partner's home because they believe that something came up missing and then had me coming to take a lie detector test, do you know how offended I would be? I wouldn't be working there anymore. No, I have not made it to New York yet. I am still in the airport. Excuse me, you're not with group two? But you're on the line for group two and everybody's lining up behind you. Are you group two? Yes, I am. We're all with you and pray. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is it a poll? I can't pay for you can't listen, you can't pay for common sense, but it's just what's amazing to me? It's amazing to me how money, prestige, and power, people will do anything just to be next to it, just to be a part of. David was going to the Diddy parties. He was flying around first class in jets. I mean, not even in first class. He was flying around in private jets, okay? He was eating five-star food. He was dining. He was going. He was on the Diddy payroll, okay? He was gladly working 20 hours a week, running behind Diddy, being his beck and call person. Because that is exactly what, hey, Chester McFly, that is exactly what an assistant is to a person of Diddy's magnitude. That is a glorified do boy. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean that in a way that is a job description. He has to run and make sure that this person stays happy, make sure that they know everything. Like that he knows Diddy's favorite food. He knows his favorite Ciroc. He knows all of that. So not knowing he could be right. Because that's what it sounds like to me. Like Diddy was using him as a fall guy just in case. As a fall guy just in case. But like I said, the sad part is these people um these people gladly do these things and gladly sign on for these jobs because of the imagine the perks that he got. Imagine the recognition that he got in 2007 through 2009 when he was his assistant, walking into a spot and saying, "Hi, I'm Diddy's assistant, David James." I'm willing to guarantee you that when Diddy OD'd, he OD'd under an alias. They put him in the hospital under one of his aliases. But now we're also learning that some of his aliases weren't just made up names, they were actual people's names. I wonder how many other employees he's been getting medications under their names. Is this something he does with all of his assistants? It's something to make you think and things that make you go, hmm. And then it's also the fact that David is telling you that Diddy was having him pay for things out of his personal account. And then he was being reimbursed later on by Bad Boy. Now, I want to know, he said that he was being reimbursed by Bad Boy, but then they go on to talk about Roger Bonds bringing him money. See, this is all a part of the criminal empire. And David James has been given immunity. I can tell you that right now. You got to think about it. When people are up here and they're testifying to being involved in criminal acts and they speak so freely and they're incriminating themselves, they have some type of immunity. And from what I'm understanding, they have a confidential co-defendant, if I'm not mistaken. So this is getting ready to get highly interesting, you guys. You know what, Swagalo, you make a very great point. He does like to get interns. And interns don't get paid. Unless they specify, unless they specify that they have it's a paid internship. Most internships are not paid and they are voluntary. So you voluntarily sign yourself up. And with the turnover of interns, that's something to look at. how many times he has turnovers of interns, because it may not necessarily be that interns can't keep up with him, but he knows that after a while he has to get rid of those interns before they find out that their names are being used for him to go get his prescription rugs. Well, we shall see. We shall see, because pharmacists in Hollywood do this all the time. All the time. We heard about this with Michael Jackson. Well, listen, you guys, I'm about to board my flight. So I'm going to keep y'all with me until I pass check in. But I'm about to board my flight. So this is going to be a very, very short one. Y'all make sure y'all are double tapping the screen and let me know what you think. Do you think that there were more assistants whose names were used without their knowledge? Let me know. Yes, co-conspirators for the RICO. But if you have immunity or you worked out a plea agreement, a plea arrangement, then you're free to say whatever and bear no consequence. Oh, mine is on my phone. How you doing? Okay, you? That's good. Okay, there's a few of you in here. Let's do the poll really quickly before I end this. Ah, didn't take. Hold on, guys. I'm doing the poll. There you go. Everybody double tap the screen and take the poll. Hit the poll below and let me know what you think. Can you hear me now? All right, y'all. Hit the poll below and let me know what you think. Yep. Oh, I'm wearing this to the Diddy trial. Oh, yeah. When I get up there, yep, gonna wear it today, wash it, and take my behind right to the Diddy trial in my Tupac shirt. Sure am. Sure am. Why not? I should go get me a biggie one. We were talking about this on my Instagram last night. I should go get a biggie one, a Black Rob one, a Craig Mack one, and just every day wear a t-shirt of different people. Now, if you see somebody else do that, then you know that means that they heard it. You know, you heard it here first. All right, y'all, double tap that screen and take the poll. Take the poll before we end. Third options. You do be getting third options, But in this particular one, I want yes or no. Like, do you think that he was using other assistants' names without them knowing? There can't be a third option to that. You don't get to say, I don't know. No. Diddy time be punching the air. Oh, Diddy finna be punching the air. He already is. But it's crazy how he mentioned Obama, but did not talk about Trump. Trump was at the parties. What is my seat? B12. Jeez Louise. Jeez. When I booked the flight, it wasn't. I can't sit in the middle of two people. I really can't. Okay, thank you. I should have sat in the front. What did you say? Epstein party. No, he was there at Diddy parties too. Crash out. He was there. And Diddy was at those parties too, along with others. Please, for the love of God, do not. I already see what's about to happen. Please, God. No. It is. And oh man. All right. I'm about to get off the phone with you guys because I'm about to be really upset. I really am. I can see it coming. Well, let's end our poll. 82% of you said that you do believe, or 88% of you believe that he did use other assistants' names. Oh man, this is not going to be comfortable for me. All right, you guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you when I land.